let's begin to close. Kurt, we'll start with you. Going back around again, any closing comments that you have, anything that you want to add on there that we didn't touch on yet, and anything?
So the one thing I wanted to add is I live in the burbs, but I work in the city, and so in that way I get like the things I like about the city, but I don't have to deal with the inconvenience of living in the city, because a lot of things they do to Black people in the city is just ridiculous, and you don't know until you move out of the city, and that's the sad part. Because I'll come back, people ask, why do you live 40 minutes away? If I was in the city, I would spend that same 40 minutes waiting in the line for the bank, waiting in the line at the grocery store. I have 5 grocery stores I can go to around me. I can be done in 10 minutes. Whereas if I was in the city, I would have to drive to the burbs to go there, and the service would be off when I spend that 40 minutes in the grocery store waiting in the line, or 40 minutes waiting in a line at the bank. So they don't realize, and the other people that have moved to the city, it's like, oh, it's great, the city's so great. It's like, okay, you'll find out soon enough.
They even got lower insurance rates now. So in a few years, they're going to be like, insurance wasn't bad in Detroit.
Yeah, how did that magically happen? Something we've been fighting for 30 years, but all of a sudden, we're going to change it.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, Mark, what about you, man? Anything you want?
I don't, let me just throw this out here before I get to my final point, because you just brought up something about insurance, and I'm telling you, dude, back in, I don't know what year that was. Must have been 2005, 2006. I had this G6 car, and the company was paying for it. The cost of insurance every month was higher than the car note. And so people were looking at me like, what is going on here? Because we had other union members on the national union who lived in Florida, and they were paying like maybe a fourth of what I was paying. If I was paying for it, I wouldn't have been able to afford that, because I'm like, between the car note and the insurance, it would have been like $800-900. It was absurd. I don't know if anybody's ever had to pay more insurance than the car note, but that's the situation I was in. Like I said, I wasn't paying for it, so I wasn't complaining, but they were looking like, why is your insurance so high? Now, anyway, where I want to finish is this dynamic I'm going to have to deal with, because it's, my kids, as they get older, they have to get to know my side of the family back in the States. And the thing that I find sad about it is that I can't show them where I came from. We can go visit, but they're growing up in a neighborhood here. And I'm just to give you an idea, here in Sao Paulo, you don't even have to be rich. You can just be doing okay. And just doing okay, when you go to certain areas, you're still going to be the only Black family there. We go to recreation centers, or we go to certain malls or whatever, they're not going to see many Black people there. Just even the daycare that they go to, they're going to be some of the few Black children that go there. I want them to be able to experience being in a neighborhood where you walk outside and you walk up your block and you see everybody that looks like you. But it's like, I automatically know if I choose to move back to Michigan, I probably cannot live in Detroit, because, I got small children. And from what I'm hearing about Detroit, I don't know if it's conducive to raising small kids, particularly just, we talk about the crime atmosphere. We talk about the situation of the school system. And it's like, it's an era it's really gone. And I don't really know how I'm going to deal with that. I'm looking for that experience, that Black experience that I had growing up. But where can I get that for my kids and still have what we'll call the finer things in life? How's that possible?
T-Real, any final thoughts on your side?
I think it's very important, just as the Black culture or African Americans, is to consistently just know who you are as an individual, and then hold on to that. Don't go ahead and just don't be a chameleon. Anywhere you go, then that's just, now I put on that outfit, or that's how I represent myself. You're Black, you stand in that, you be proud of that, and then you continue to pass that down the lineage, and any person that you next to, you go ahead and you proud of that as well. I think that's something that us as Black folks need to improve on. It's not dead, but it's definitely something we need to improve on, and it shouldn't only come back in February or Juneteenth or when a Black person's assassinated. That should be something that's seen just across the board. And I'm sure this is something that maybe for Hispanics that they may deal with, but in Florida especially, they stick to their roots. You know that's the music, the culture, the dance, everything. So it should be that same thing. And I'm just hoping that we get back to that, and then we stay in that.
Man, good stuff. Good stuff. You know, I guess I'm going to end it. And T-Roy, you actually said a chameleon. Maybe that's another way that I may criticize the previous generation, is that sometimes I feel like our parents' generation wanted to be chameleons. They just wanted to blend in once the 70s arrived. But I think our stories that we told today, we still haven't been able to blend in. No matter where we were able to move, no matter where we could send kids to school, etc., no matter who you're dating, you still can't blend in society. And that leads me to Neely Fuller. You know, pretty much every show I mention Neely Fuller. Neely Fuller said that right now, no matter where in the world, and we're all in different time zones, but somebody somewhere in this world right now is walking around with no shoes on and all their belongings, or maybe they just have some sandals, and all of their belongings in their hand, saying, where did the white people go? And the reason why they're asking is because that's where they have to go for resources. That's where they have to go for provision. Because we all live in a prison system. We live in a white supremacist system. And so I look at that, and even as we told our stories, these decades later, now that we are entering that old age, I'll say, we're still kind of asking, where do we fit in? Because we never can get comfortable. Neely Fuller says it's by design. You're not supposed to ever be comfortable. I think when we talk about Detroit changing, the people in Detroit, and you think back to our parents or I'm sure our parents know people there now that bought houses, they 80, 90 years old and still won't sell them because they are like, I'm going to be the last one here and just turn the lights off. You're not going to have that opportunity because they're going to kick you out of there. You'll never be able to be settled. And I think we're all going to struggle that we just won't be able to settle. And so I hope I don't want anyone listening to this video that we're doing and like, oh, they did, it's just blame Black folks for the shape they're in. I think all of us know, and folks check out other videos with us and you'll know, we're not saying it's all our fault in that regard. We know there's a larger system at play here, but what I really wanted to highlight is, what role do we play as individuals for our family? Can we do better than what our parents did? Or can we follow the model that even Kurt's family followed of telling those stories? That way nobody forgets, look, this is how you need to behave. This is how you need to act. Don't ever think you're going to be accepted, et cetera, because no matter where you go out here in the world, you are always going to be reminded in one way, shape, or form that you Black, and don't ever forget it. I ended there. Guys, as always, thank y'all. Definitely, I thought it was a real good, important discussion to have, because I don't really hear it happen too often. We aren't the kind that probably would be out knocking anybody over their head, rioting, looting, but I think we probably all kind of had that personality where we would like to be out on the street protesting and talking about injustice. And that's that part that I think parents play a role. And I think all of our parents did their job. So we're not criticizing them. They got us in that mindset to promote change. So with that, fellas, thank y'all again. And we'll holler at y'all next time, YouTube.
Yep.